Good evening and welcome to Athens City Council. Tonight is Monday, August 28th, 2017. We will be in a special session this evening beginning at 7 p.m. followed by a committee meeting immediately following that. Beginning with special session this evening, we will establish a quorum. We have all members of council present minus our president. I will be acting as President Pro Tem and capable of voting. Moving on to ordinances for third reading. Ordinance 87-17, an ordinance authorizing the adoption of an agreement with the Athens City Firefighters Local 3351 and Ohio Council 8, AFSCME AFL-CIO concerning wages and working conditions. This is introduced by the Finance and Personnel Committee, I believe Councilmember Reisner.
Thank you, Mr. President Pro Tem. What we're doing here is essentially putting Council's seal of approval on a contract that's been ratified with their firefighters. We're doing this to establish and place it within the public record. The contract itself has been signed, and we've had copies. We've seen it. We've talked with, discussed it. So I'm making a motion, therefore, to adopt 87-17.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion to adopt in a second. Prior to voting, are there any comments or questions from council members regarding the ordinance? Anything from the mayor's office? Audience? Thank you.
Well,
yes, thank you, Mayor.
Just,
thank you.
You know, council is aware, but this is what council is approving is the conciliator's report, which really doesn't require any action at all, but council's going through the exercise of approving it. So.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adopting the ordinance, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
Nay.
We have one opposed. Please be noted. Yes, Mr. Katsas. Thank you. The ordinance has been adopted. Ordinance 89-17, an ordinance amending Ordinance 69-17, authorizing the payment of a prior year expense and declaring an emergency, introduced by Councilmember Reisner.
Thank you, Mr. President Pro Tem. I make a motion that we adopt 89-17. We've discussed this. It has to do with our municipal court and their need to pay banking fees to various processes that they have to go through for their bills. I believe it's with the Chase Bank. So it's something that needs to be done, paid.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any questions or comments regarding Ordinance 89-17? Anything from the mayor's office or the audience? Thank you, everyone. We have a motion to adopt Ordinance 89-17 and a second. All those in favor of adopting the ordinance, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Thank you, everyone. The ordinance has been adopted. We're now moving on to ordinances for second reading. We do have a few that may fall into the need for suspending our rules. We have a number of ordinances in second reading that will just be read, but they are open to discussion. Ordinance 90-17, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to submit an application to participate in the 2017 State Capital Improvement and/or Local Transportation Improvement Programs for Issue 1 funds to execute contracts as required and declaring an emergency, introduced by Councilmember Pappy.
Thank you, President Pro Tem. I move to suspend 90-17.
Second.
And this has to do with a deadline from the state of September 1st to have everything in place.
Thank you. So we have a motion to suspend the rules and followed by a second, specifically for a September 1 deadline. Any comments on suspension only? Any comments? Okay, we have a motion and a second solely to suspend. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Continue, Councilmember.
I move to adopt 9017 for the reasons stated prior.
Second.
Any questions or comments about the ordinance from the mayor's office? Nothing? Okay. Yeah.
I did.
No, sure, that's all right. Any questions from council? We have a motion to adopt and a second for this ordinance. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The ordinance has been adopted. Ordinance 9117. An ordinance amending Ordinance 76-16, authorizing the Service Safety Director to enter into an LPA Federal Local Let Project Agreement with the Ohio Department of Transportation for improvements to US 33 and East State Street, project number 288, and declaring an emergency. This too is introduced by Councilmember Pappy.
Thank you. I move to suspend 9117.
Second.
And this has to do with the lighting that, or I'm sorry, the cameras that we've discussed that ODOT wants to place there at that interchange. And they need to get going on this project, is the bottom line.
Thank you, Councilmember. Is there any discussion on suspension only? We have a motion and a second for suspension. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. So the rules have been suspended, and you may proceed.
I move to adopt 9117.
Second.
I'm not sure if administration would like to add to the urgency here, if there's any additional information.
Just that it's out to bid and, through the previous process and amending it to add the camera, to match that bid, we just bid, rather we need to move forward.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. I believe there's a comment as well from Councilmember Fall.
Right. I had some questions about what the cameras were going to be used for, and my concerns and questions have been answered. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments from the audience? So we have a motion to adopt and a second. Ordinance 91-17. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The ordinance has been adopted. Thank you, everyone. Ordinance 92-17, an ordinance amending Ordinance 67-17, authorizing construction and engineering services for the East State Street US 33 project number 288, introduced again by Councilmember Pappy.
Thank you. I move to suspend 9217.
Second.
Reason for this is it matches the ordinance we just approved, and it has to do with the actual construction and engineering of the cameras on the site.
Thank you, Councilmember. Again, any discussion on suspension only? We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules of Ordinance 92-17. All those in favor of suspending, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The rules have been suspended, and Councilmember, you may proceed.
I move to adopt 9217
Second.
for the reasons we previously discussed.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any questions or comments from council and or the mayor's office? No comments. Okay, thank you, everyone. Again, safety and timeliness are of the utmost here. Motion to adopt, followed by a second here. All those in favor of proceeding by adopting Ordinance 92-17, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The ordinance has been adopted. Ordinance 93-17, an ordinance authorizing the Service Safety Director to enter into an LPA state project agreement with the Ohio Department of Transportation for guardrail replacement and upgrade on State Route 50 and declaring an emergency. This too is introduced by Councilmember Pappy. Any comments? I do believe at our last meeting, the mayor did have updated information regarding this, but didn't get, I don't think you had a chance to share that. I didn't know if you had it with you again, but I do recall that you were following up with that information.
I did chime in at the end of the ordinance when we were moving on that council did receive documents from the Assistant Director for Engineering and Public Works on the specs for the guardrails. So
Thank you.
council should have those.
Thank you. Thank you for following up on that. No further questions or comments? Ordinance 94-17, an ordinance authorizing disposal of an Athens transit bus no longer needed for a municipal purpose, introduced by Councilmember Pappy. Ordinance 95-17, an ordinance banning parking and closing that portion of Court Street from Mulberry to Carpenter on October 28th and October 29th, 2017, in anticipation of a large number of people converging on downtown Athens Halloween weekend, introduced by Councilmember Pappy.
Thank you. I move to amend 95-17.
Second.
And I would direct council, there is an amended version of the ordinance on your drive for you to look at with the words. We are striking out October, we're just saying October 27th, 28th, and 29th. And in terms of the vehicular traffic, we are saying what's being struck out is intersecting, so it'll say end essential streets. And obviously, as necessary for public safety. So that is the amended language.
Thank you, Councilmember. And I believe the clerk is aware and has it documented. Thank you. And the administration is aware as well. So discussing, there is a motion and a second to amend. Is there any discussion on amending the ordinance? Again, safety is paramount. So we have a motion, a second. All those in favor of amending the ordinance as acknowledged this evening by Councilmember Pappy, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. So the ordinance has been amended and then read for the first time. Am I correct? Thank you, clerk. Thank you, everyone. Ordinance 96-17, an ordinance suspending the enforcement of Athens City Code, Section 13.04.10, unnecessary noise for scheduled bandstand performances, hosted by the Clean and Safe Halloween Committee on October 28th and October 29th, 2017, Halloween weekend. Again, introduced by Councilmember Pappy. Any comments? Mayor's office or the public? Thank you. Ordinance 97-17, an ordinance suspending the enforcement of Athens City Code, Chapter 11.04, vending, peddling, and soliciting, to allow vending in a designated area on October 28th and October 29, 2017, Halloween weekend, introduced by Councilmember Pappy. Any comments? Ordinance 98-17, an ordinance suspending the enforcement of Athens City Code, Section 7.05.26, parentheses C, regulation of city parking garage rates on October 28 and October 29, 2017. Again, Halloween weekend, introduced by Councilmember Pappy. Any questions or comments? Ordinance 99-17, an ordinance amending Ordinance 86-14, authorizing the Service Safety Director to enter into an agreement with the Board of Athens County Commissioners to extend sanitary sewer collection services to unincorporated portions of the county and declaring an emergency, introduced by Councilmember Fall.
Mr. President Pro Tem, I move that we suspend 9917.
Second.
That even though this has been around for years, we kind of like to get it shoved out the door, and there are certain timelines and deadlines that the county is facing.
Federal fiscal year.
Right. So this is our little thing that we make sure that we don't, have people go out of government service by shutting it down.
Thank you, Councilmember. Again, discussion on suspension only. Any comments? Anything from the mayor's office as well? Okay, so we have an acknowledgement that for timeliness and noted deadlines, a need to suspend the rules regarding this ordinance. All those in favor, again, suspension only, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. You may proceed.
Thank you. I move that we adopt 9917. Second. This has been in the works for years, as I said before. This will help to alleviate, once the county commissioners go through the process that they will have to go through to get landowners and homeowners out in the area to agree to this. One of the environmental problems, probably one of the worst environmental problems that we have in the county. So we've been working long and hard on it.
Thank you. Councilmember Pappy.
I would just add, I'd like to thank Councilmember Fall for all her years of service to this effort. But also, when we consider these kinds of environmental impacts, I think about Texas right now and sewer services and whatnot. And when you don't have the proper infrastructure in place, how that can really, as the cleanup continues. And, it was really interesting to hear on the news how they encourage people to get their tetanus shots. Well, there's a reason for getting your tetanus shot, and that has to do with disease and whatnot. And when you talk about sewer, this is a vital infrastructure, and this area of the county has suffered for some time with that, with just septic. So, I'm glad that the city is moving forward with our piece, and hopefully people outside the city limits will believe that this is an important service.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Yes, Councilmember McGee.
Well, I have a question. I'm curious. Will this be costing the city taxpayers anything at all?
No. This is, actually, we worked really hard to make sure that this process protected the city in various ways. Andy Stone actually says that this will be good for some of our sewer lines out there because it will increase in flow. Our capacity of sewer right now is more than ample with the latest update to cover this. And the environmental degradation that this does show affects people in Athens. And
In the city limits.
well, in the city, people, county and the city. So we also spent a lot of time making sure that one of my red lines was not to encourage development out in the county that would be stealing, tax revenue from Athens or transporting tax revenue outside of Athens.
You mean
Are we
commercial?
not also charging a fee?
Yes.
Commercial.
We are.
Yep.
We're also, as I mentioned to council, monitoring I&I, infiltration into the system that can come from other sources. One, it's going to be a brand new system out there, but two, we're also kind of holding in escrow a percentage. Once it arrives to 8%, I believe, in terms of I&I, then we start essentially having a surcharge. That money stays in escrow, and at the end of the year, it's for the county identifying where that's coming from and repairing it. So
You might want to explain what I&I is.
Infiltration and flow when you have rainwater and
Correct.
you get into
Serious storms.
yeah.
yes. But again, will be a brand-new system. But we're monitoring that at the 3 lift stations, the connection points throughout the system.
You're welcome. And as many may recall, whether it's here in council chambers or out in TV land or the internet, that the city of Athens also spent millions of dollars on a major upgrade to our wastewater treatment plant a few years ago, and the foresight of the department and public works director also led to the creation of a center that would be able to withstand increased use, such as this. Any other questions or comments? We have a motion and a second. Again, this is to adopt the ordinance, and this is ordinance 99-17. All those in favor of adopting the ordinance, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The ordinance has been adopted. Ordinance 100-17, an ordinance amending Athens City Code Title 7, Traffic Code, Chapter 7.01, General Provisions, Chapter 7.05, Parking Regulations, and Chapter 7.09, Penalties, introduced by Councilmember Fall. Any questions or comments?
Yes.
Yes, Councilmember McGee.
Does this ordinance raise the rates at all?
No, it's definitional changes.
Okay. Thank you.
Ordinance 101-17, an ordinance amending Title 3, Administrative Provisions of the Athens City Code, Chapter 3.07, Administrative Departments, Boards and Commissions, Section 3.07.70, the Athens City Commission on Disabilities, introduced by Councilmember Fall. Any questions or comments? Any from the audience? Ordinance 102-17, an ordinance authorizing the extension of city water services and installation of a water tap beyond the corporate limits on Peach Ridge Road, introduced by Councilmember Butler. Questions or comments? Ordinance 103-17, an ordinance amending the 2017 appropriation ordinance, introduced by Councilmember Reisner.
Thank you, Mr. President Pro Tem. I would like to request a suspension of the rules for 10317.
Second.
The reason for the suspension is timeliness. Part of the ordinance, the municipal court has to pay for, fee for the public defender contract, and because of our calendar year and fiscal year with the state, it has to be done immediately.
Thank you, Councilmember. Again, discussion on suspension only. Any comments? We have a motion and a second for suspending the rules on ordinance 103-17. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. You may proceed.
I propose that we adopt 10317.
Second.
And again, we have a municipal court that has a public defender contract, $10,000 that needs to be done. In addition, we also have $38,000 to the transportation fund to purchase a bus to service University Courtyard, and $32,000 to the judge computer fund to be transferred to the clerk's computer fund.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any questions or comment prior to voting? We have a motion to adopt ordinance 103-17, followed by a second. All those in favor of adopting the ordinance, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The ordinance has been adopted. This is our last ordinance and second reading, 104-17, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to hire a director of arts, parks, and recreation at a pay rate of 50% through the assigned pay grade, introduced by the Finance and Personnel Committee. I'm not sure who specifically would be speaking on this, but we may have a few questions this evening or comments.
No, I guess I'm speaking to it, but I have nothing to add to it. We discussed it last meeting, first reading.
Thank you. Yes, Councilmember Pappy.
I would just add that we did receive a packet from the auditor after our meeting, and it clarified some things for me, though it necessarily hasn't changed my opinion. We as a city spent a lot of time over the past couple of years looking at our pay grades and comparing them to other cities. And I'm still not convinced with the 50% for the hiring of this employee.
Thank you, Councilmember. Yes, Councilmember.
Thank you. I am always in support of compensating people for what they're worth, and I regret not being here for the last meeting to be here for the discussion to get some of that context. The way I understood it, the Parks and Rec budget was fairly tight as it was, and so I just wanted to ask, how does it look going forward, the affordability of this pay increase?
Thank you, Councilmember Spende. Yes, if the mayor would like to.
Is that a question to me?
Yes.
Yes, thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, in having conversations with the city auditor on that and looking forward as well, she felt comfortable with bringing this person in at up to 50%. Great.
Does that help answer your questions, Councilmember? Thank you, Councilmember Spende. Councilmember McGee.
I would just like to make sure the public is aware of what we're talking about, what the current pay grade is and what salary you're talking about bringing the person in at. I think it would be worthwhile explaining the difference in salary, if we could.
Well, what I can explain, I don't think it's appropriate to talk about what the former director's salary was.
That's fine.
But what I can tell you is what the pay range is, so the public is aware. The pay range is at 0% into the pay grade, so starting salary for the pay grade itself is $59,904. The 100% into the pay grade is $83,865. 25% into the pay grade, which is what the mayor is authorized to offer anybody, and to just hire someone, literally could hire someone off the street if I chose to, would be $65,894. 50% into the pay grade, which requires council approval on whom I'm hiring, would be $71,884.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Yes, Councilmember McGee.
It's my understanding there would be an additional pay increase at the end of the year, a 2% increase, is that right?
Well, that's based on council's approval for pay raises. So whatever percentage council.
So just to make sure that I understand this, if this person is hired at this salary and council approves a across-the-board pay rate of 2%, that person would receive an additional increase of 2% at that time, is that correct?
Well, it would be 2019 where we would see a pay increase for this particular position.
Okay, thank you.
And again, in talking with the city auditor about that, we were looking at an increase in salary at, 2% increase would amount to $1,400, give or take.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Yes, Councilmember.
Do you foresee, thank you, do you foresee any cuts anywhere as a result of this increase, or there's sufficient funding to support this pay without any cuts anywhere else?
Oh, I think there's sufficient, yeah, absolutely, that it's sufficient without making cuts.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? I do appreciate the handout that we received from the mayor, as well as information that was gathered from the auditor's office. We have an opportunity to look over it and compare the directors, Sal, from other communities, some of which are similar in size to ours, some of which are larger and some of which are smaller. For example, Bowling Green, Ohio, their Parks and Rec director is receiving a pay of almost $86,000.
They're much larger.
I don't have that immediately in front of me, how much bigger a town they are, but I think they're similar.
And I apologize to council, I didn't go into the double-sided copy mode with this, so that scale, I think one of you has an unstapled copy. It actually has both front and back, but you received the email from the auditor's office. If you want me to, I can kill a couple more trees to get you a two-sided version of that that has all of the cities that were looked at across the state of Ohio.
Yes, thank you. As I was saying, I think there's a wide range here, which is helpful information for us. Aurora, Ohio, 84,000. Bedford, Ohio, 69,000. Berea, Ohio, 66,000. Beechwood, Ohio, 135,000. Cambridge, Ohio, again, small town, 38,000. Chillicothe, Ohio, 54,000. So this is helpful information, obviously, as we proceed. We're not voting this evening, just a brief discussion on the ordinance. Any other questions or comments? Yes,
I do
Mayor.
have a comment with the different cities that you have, the sheet that has the comparables. What's missing in that, obviously, is we have no idea what the experience is for any of those directors. We don't know how long they've served. But I think most importantly, we don't know the level of expertise they have or experience. It's just a snapshot of directors for arts, parks, and recreation across the state.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments? Councilmember McGee.
Do your sheets show what Oxford is making?
Oxford, I think it's alphabetical.
I would call on council,
It's not-
whoever's got the
It's
two-sided
not
sheet.
online, yeah.
Mine's missing.
I think Councilmember Smedley has.
Do you have it?
86, close to 86,
86,000?
yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Of course, we're not comparing ourselves to Oxford.
Never.
If there's no other comments, we'll proceed. We have a resolution for second reading, R-08-17, a resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor, introduced by Councilmember Reisner. Any questions on the resolution?
Nothing new to add.
Thank you. Okay, we are adjourning from our special session of council, but we will move directly into our committee meetings, beginning with Finance and Personnel Committee, which is chaired by Councilmember Reisner.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. President Pro Tem. This Finance and Personnel Committee here, we have 3 items that you can see. The first one we need to discuss is the city has received an insurance claim check for damages at the fire department due to a lightning strike that hit an antenna mast and went down through the computers and fried them for the amount of $8,742.72. Now, I understand that we can, the funds need to be replaced. For purposes will come from already appropriated funds and or transferred out of the fire department's personnel lines. Is that the understanding between you and the auditor, what needs to be done? So this insurance check for $8,742 is going to go to the general fund? Where is this check going to go if it's not going to go directly to the department? Do we have
It's
any?
our understanding that the auditor has never had the insurance checks returned to the different divisions. I have to assume it goes to the general fund.
Okay, that was my assumption, but it wasn't clear in the email. But like you say, it doesn't happen that often. So, since it's just a intertransfer of funds, there's no real need for council approval for this amount, is there?
There is, because it's taking from the 100 lines.
Oh,
So
that's where you're going to take it from?
that's where the auditor has directed us to take it from, so $4,000 is.
I was kind of hoping you could avoid that.
I agree.
Yeah. No place else?
That's, the auditor has directed that that's where we could locate the funding for this endeavor. And frankly, they've been waiting already.
Right.
Almost a whole month in terms of trying to get their computers replaced.
Member Fall or Butler, care to comment or have any questions on this? You're part of the committee here.
Thank you.
I'm wondering, the insurance doesn't really sound like it's covering all of the cost of the computers. Is there?
Yeah, we have a breakdown of that, don't we?
We do. It's $7,395.35 for the computers and communication system. It was a significant hit.
Right, right. You know, both of them were significant, yeah.
Yeah, it was twice.
Yeah.
And we had a $1,000 deductible.
Right, I was going to ask that, so.
Frankly, it looks like we can piece them back together for the figure that the mayor just indicated.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Other members? Let's go on to the second item. The GoBus Marks radio system monthly service fee is $800 per month and will be billed to the city every quarter. I understand when we did the original appropriation, which purchased the radios, we didn't include this quarterly fee. Was that just an oversight, or didn't they tell us about it, or? I mean, how come we didn't include it?
They are unable, we actually had to enter into the service contract because Marks is only for governmental entities.
Mm-hmm.
So this is pass-through money, this will be returned to us, but we have to appropriate it in order to make that payment and then seek reimbursement from community action. But they are not able to enter into the Marks service agreement, so it's under the city of Athens.
Okay.
And if it was an oversight, you know, we don't know on which end that oversight was.
Right, right.
It was Athens Public or GoBus that was requesting
Right.
the Marks system to begin with.
Okay. Member Fall, Butler, question?
Thank you.
Any other members of the committee? Okay, so we'll, that comes to $2,400 service fees. We'll have to appropriate that. So we'll do that Monday, I suppose. Is there any reason this has to be rushed through, or can I just get through the normal process? This being a service fee every quarter, are we behind already?
We'd have to check with the auditor on that if we already have a fee.
I mean, we may already owe them. You know,
And if these,
we're in arrears.
frankly, if these are all wrapped into a single appropriation ordinance, we would request consideration of a suspension only so that we can go ahead and get the computers in for the fire department, pay these bills.
Okay. Remember,
I would just say, when you mention pass-through, that means they are actually paying the bill. We're just appropriating. We are the governmental agency doing that. So it's not like $2,400 is coming out of our budget, so to speak.
It's coming back to us.
Correct. So that's when we
So
say
it is
pass-through.
coming out of our budget, but it's coming back again.
Correct.
Much like even bus purchases on their end.
Right.
You know.
Right, because that is that's the way we work with HAPCAP.
It
So
is.
I think, yeah, we just needed to clarify that. It's not like we're going to pay, it's quarterly, $2,400? Is that
no,
what
it's yearly. It's $800 a quarter.
Oh, $800 a quarter? Okay.
No, wait, is that right?
No, I think it's $800 a month.
I think it's $800 a month.
Yes, it is.
So it's
Yeah.
$2,400 a quarter.
A quarter.
A quarter.
Okay, you're right.
Yeah.
That's why I wear glasses. I'm blind. Okay, so now that we've muddled the waters, are we still clear on it? Okay, now it says here we have a check for the amount of $6,167.94. The mayor has requested this amount be appropriated to the Athens Enhancement Fund 250 TC 300 in a newly created fund line for the Athens Special Improvement District.
Correct. This is, just to give you a little history and background on this, some years ago, back in the late 90s, the Community Designs nonprofit was established for the enhancement of Court Street, and many sidewalk improvements did occur back in the 90s and early 2000s. The nonprofit, since 2011 or somewhere thereabouts, was deactivated. It was terminated, whatever you want to say about the nonprofit itself. Yet there was still $6,176 and 90 some change
94
cents. Thank you. And Mr. Rick Wasserman was the caretaker of a CD that money was kept in safekeeping, knowing that money had to be spent in the uptown area for any further improvements. And he has, I don't want to say, well, he's gifted it over to the city to be put into the Athens Special Improvement District fund line for use in the uptown area. It could be used for things like some of the perimeter lighting. It could be used for other things. If we were thinking that we wanted to put hanging flower baskets on the lamp posts again, it could go towards that. It could go towards a number of different things, but it has been gifted to the city itself, and we're the caretakers of it, so we wanted to have that money appropriated into that fund line.
Question? Seems like a good use for it.
It was a wonderful gift to have received from money that was otherwise sitting there for the uptown area.
So my only question is, are there some guidelines as to how that money would be spent other than just for the uptown area? Is there any other guidelines?
Just that.
I mean, it couldn't be for a sewer replacement or, so it's for beautification type efforts.
Correct. It can't be used for utilities. That's on the city. That is also, just educationally to council, that's also the guidelines that fall under any special improvement district, as the city is still responsible for road and street infrastructure repairs and maintenance. A special improvement district is for enhancing that area aesthetically, and so this kind of follows those similar guidelines, or at least that's the way I'm treating it at this point in time, is that it's only to be used for beautification within the defined uptown area, and that would be between Congress and College Street, but not those streets in particular. It would be where Carpenter, State, Washington, and Union abut those streets, and then Court Street within. So,
is there any plans at this point to revitalize that fund line or that group, or have a committee or anything like that? I know there's been some discussion of that, so I just
sure,
wondered.
if I may, you know, as the council, I believe, is aware, I've been working on enacting a special improvement district in the uptown area within the same dimensions that I just mentioned to you in terms of what constitutes a special improvement district. To give a brief update, the city planner, as well as one of the property owners within the defined area, took a trip up to Lancaster and visited with David Scheffler, who is the executive director for Lancaster Special Improvement District. Got a lot of insight from Mr. Scheffler. I have gone and spoken to 98% of the property owners up and down the prescribed SID area to gather support, because to enact a SID you need two things. One, a petition has to be signed by 60% of those property owners by linear foot, with an affirmative, yes, we would like to pay into a special improvement district. It's a self-imposed tax. You set that percentage. Actually, who sets it is a board. I have identified 7 members who are property owners, who are willing to serve on this board when the nonprofit status comes in for having a SID. They then, there will also need to be a city council member who's appointed to the Special Improvement District Board, and the mayor has a seat. This is all under Ohio Revised Code, if anybody's interested. I think it's 7104, don't hold me to that. I can look that up and get council information on the definition for a SID under Ohio Revised Code. It is permissible. Columbus has several, they have 5. Anyway, So I've gotten affirmatives from, like I said, 95% of the property owners by linear footage. So as I mentioned to you, you need 60%. I might as well put this out there too for council. A municipality that has properties within a special improvement district is not bound to pay into that special improvement district by linear foot. I would like the city of Athens to pay into the special improvement district, but that's a discussion to have with council at the time comes. A state university also does not have to be paying members, even if they have property within the special improvement district. I've had several conversations with the new president of Ohio University to see, because they can opt in as well. But as I've described to you, the footprint is currently just to the edge of the property for Little Professor's Bookstore / Court Street Coffee, and from there all the way on up north to Carpenter, to include both north and south sides of Carpenter Street, but again, being hemmed in by College and Congress. So I've been putting a lot of work into this for a year and a half. A business leader did fill out the nonprofit, kind of a reinstatement form for nonprofit status. It's called an Easy 1023, to see if we can't get the IRS to reinstate the now defunct nonprofit. So there you have the whole story. What hasn't been decided on is how much per linear foot. The city of Lancaster, when they first started, their price per linear foot was $14.50. For the city of Athens, $14.50 would bring in roughly $86,000 a year. That money can only be used within your defined area. You can't spend that money anywhere else. And again, it can't be for street improvements, i.e. resurfacing, or stormwater or water or utilities. You can't do that. That's on the city. But sidewalk enhancements, park benches, much like we have on West Union right now, a lot of improvements could be done. And a lot of the property owners up and down that prescribed area are hoping that this comes to fruition, as am I.
Member.
Yes, thank you. So I assume then the board then just determines how the money is spent, what kind of projects are...
They do.
Okay.
They do.
Member McGee.
Thank you. When you're talking about the city property for linear feet, are you talking about sidewalks being part of that for linear feet? I mean, what city property are we really talking about?
We're talking City Hall, the parking garage, the Armory.
Okay.
Those are the three properties where we have linear footage at, on those streets. Just as an FYI to council, I'm sure you're aware, for Ohio University, within what I'm currently designating as being the area, there's the former Woolworths building as well as the Athena within that prescribed area. I have also had conversation of the possibility to extend it all the way down to Park Place, to where it's continuous and contiguous for any beautification projects. But again, it would require Ohio University to pay into that their share of whatever the prescribed linear footage cost is.
Last.
Thank you. This sounds like a great way to get participation in a certain community, a certain geographic area within your city. So I look forward to seeing that coming down the pike. Do you know yet, I know this is further down the line, but do you have any sense of what the average contribution a municipality would have if they opted into something like this?
The average for any
contribution for a municipality?
I don't. Off the top of my head, I can find out for comparables. Like I can ask Lancaster. I don't know what municipal buildings are in Lancaster's, but I assume that there's probably several. But I can look to see those that do, if that's what you're asking.
Oh, maybe I misunderstood. Did you say that the city can opt in to contribute to this special improvement district? And so that's what I was asking. What would be an average contribution a city would add to it? Because what the special improvement district, as you're describing it now, is just the people, the homeowners and the landowners within that district contributing to this fund. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'll give you a guesstimate as to what the city would be paying into it if we opted in. We're probably looking at somewhere around $500 to $600 a year annually. That's an estimate. I can get you firm numbers. But again, it's based on what the agreed about
You don't have the
amount per linear foot is.
Yeah.
Got it.
And then it would also then just depend on what's the linear footage of the city building's property, or the parking garage for that matter. But again, for the parking garage, as a sidebar to all this, even though the parking garage technically would has frontage, obviously, on College Street as well as Washington Street, it's only measured at Washington Street, only the streets that are within the prescribed area. So it'd be, again, the frontage of the Armory, the frontage of the north side of the parking garage, and the south side of the city building.
So that'd be about 250 linear feet times whatever the fee is, the rate.
Correct.
So if it's $14.50, it would be 250 times $14.50.
Correct.
So in your assessment with other cities, has Lancaster's ever gone up? Has it gone down?
We reached out had a conversation, when I say we, our city planner and I had a conversation with a fairly new organization that had spun off of Capitol Crossroads, which is the big SID up in Columbus, because they were being asked by a number of people, to include us, because we visited with them as well. I went up to that trip to go talk to the executive director for the Columbus SIDs. Some Lancasters went down, but the consultant that we spoke to said that's very rare. What you find is a lot of property owners within municipalities actually see the benefit and they want it to go up. They're willing to pay more as long as certain things get done. Let me give you another example. An example I like the idea personally, and I think you may too, but I'm not going to put thoughts in your head. The Columbus Special Improvement District for Capitol Crossroads and Lancaster does this as well, to where the money that comes into the SID, they can contract annually for someone to remove snow, to where snow removal is continuous and contiguous for all the city sidewalks in the SID. Another thing that Columbus does, which is intriguing, is they have a tag team that in typically less than 24 hours, graffiti is removed. It's usually done in the evening, so if someone tags something, it's gone and no one sees it the next morning. They also have a social worker that will work with the homeless that are on the streets and get them into more suitable environments and off the street. Columbus's SID is impressive. I will share this though. Columbus's SID also brings in $9.3 million. And I think I'm being conservative. It's much more than that. It's a large SID that brings in a lot of money, but it's Columbus.
So if I had to just took a poll right now with community members, I would say the cleanliness of our downtown sidewalks and, especially early morning with various materials that you find on the street and whatnot, having been on the clean, and then we named it something else committee for many, many years. I think property owners too would really like to see that continuous kind of cleanup effort,
Remember, Pappy,
kind of thing.
That's where this all started.
Right.
Was my efforts to clean up the uptown area, Court Street in particular. Another thing that can be done is, and I think this would be prudent, is that you can purchase these steam machines that you can pull around in a little wagon, and one person can move this thing around for gum removal. Once you do, as what has been really, I think, I'm grateful, and I would imagine council's grateful to Mr. Cornwell for doing the power washing, and has been doing it in the uptown area for a number of years now, to do one clean sweep, and then purchasing through the SID, or maybe it could be the city in kind. These machines cost between $3,000 and $5,000, but the SID could hire someone to go around 24/7, well, I shouldn't say 24/7, on a daily basis, and keep gum up off the sidewalks as well, after you've done a thorough clean sweep, and then someone removing gum. So you can, there's a number of things you can do with a special improvement district. So anyway, going back to this donation again is $6,176.94. 4 cents, thank you, to be put into a newly created fund, which is called the Athens Special Improvement District Fund.
Member McGee, have...
Oh, I just had one slight question. Is the county being brought into this since they have such crucial location there?
I have had conversations with the county commissioners about this.
Well, I hope it's positive.
I'm hoping to do some of this. See.
Okay, I got one last item here. This is appropriate $2,000 for BWC to general fund, other administrative. I really don't have any more notes on that. Anything?
Well, this is one of several checks that we've received this year from the Bureau of Workmen's Comp, and so I can't remember. I mean, we had a significant check for over $100,000 that
Correct.
came in, but this is another one that's come in.
Okay.
That we need to appropriate.
All right. Candid? That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilmember. Moving forward, we have the City and Safety Services Committee chaired by myself, Councilmember Butler. Just two brief items on here, both regarding disposal of items. First being the former Uptown trash receptacles. Many of you know that we have contracted with Big Belly, which offers both recycling and trash in a contemporary, modern manner, which is also hopefully streamlining the process and adding to the cleanliness of Uptown. So consequently, we have a number of waste receptacles that are in need of getting rid of. Mayor's office has acknowledged that this is something that we're prepared to do. Is there any comments from you, Paula or Mayor? Safety Service Director Haran Mosley or Mayor?
There's 50 of them that were pulled off the streets. We're hoping to put this out much like we do with vehicles, to where there's a number of options for how we dispose of them. It could be bid, it could be donation, it could be sold as scrap. The Director of Engineering and Public Works initially valued them at $700 each. These are 10 to 25 years old, and so with depreciation, there's really not a lot that we can get for these things other than probably scrap. We are keeping some of these. One of the things to share with council is that when American Bloom came in and took an inventory of the city and asked, they really liked the Big Belly, but they said, so what are you doing with your old bins? Because they saw some of the other bins in the Uptown area, and we told them what we were going to do. And I'm just sharing this with you, that we are retaining some of them. They said, you could turn these into planters and put some plants around the city. So we're going to keep some of them and probably change the heights of them by having them cut down and put back together. But anyway, that's a whole different story. But we are hanging on to some. So like I said, we're going to go through the normal process of disposal to get rid of these.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council?
I do.
Yes, Councilmember McGee.
I was wondering, with the contract with Big Belly, my understanding was that it was a 1 or a 2 year contract. It should be coming up for renewal fairly soon. Is that correct?
I'll have to check into that, Member McGee. We will have to renew at some point in time. I was just looking at some data on the big bellies, just to share with council. This is kind of serendipitous. I was asking last week, and I asked the Deputy Service Safety Director to get me some numbers on diversion of landfill, that is, and where we're at since we removed the old round bins. So we had a period where we had both round bins and big belly up. Since we've removed the round bins, the former trash cans from Court Street, in terms of diverting from the landfill, so it's the recyclables, we are diverting, I believe it's 38%, somewhere around there, from the landfill. I think it's time to do some more PSAs now that the students are back in, to make sure that they are throwing proper things into the trash side and making sure that they're re-educated again to what they can put in the recycle side. But in terms of the cubic yards of recycling versus waste, landfill waste, it's staggering what we're removing in terms of cubic yards from the landfill by having recycling on Court Street for the first time. But contract-wise, we'll have to, I'll look into that as to when that contract is due for renewal.
I'll look forward to be staggered. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Katsas.
Yes, thank you. So I was walking into the city building tonight, and I noticed that the big belly that was to the left of the door is no longer
It's
there.
absent, yeah.
Where did it go?
It was stolen. No, the thing that's really interesting about Big Belly is that in real time, we're monitoring percentage of use of each of the big bellies. And we identified 2 big bellies that were very low use. And so that was one. The other one was a big belly that sat near Passionworks Studio. Those have since been relocated to higher volume areas. And that's, with this level of technology, that's the appropriate thing to do, is look to really see where you're maximizing your collection points. And it also helps too with Athens Hawking Recycling making their trips through shorter and on time. So, you know, that said, that's the reason why the one that used to be in front of the city building is gone. We're sad to see it go, but it's being more heavily used somewhere else.
Thank you.
That's good. Thank you.
And I can share briefly too that I've been approached, while we're on a similar subject, I've been approached by members of the community that would like the opportunity to discard garbage or waste when they're walking their dogs down on the bike trail. That's a place that might be in need of maybe smaller receptacles or something, whether people are walking their dogs or whether they're picking up trash that they see that someone else discarded. They want to be responsible and want to have a place to put it. So that's something that I've been approached by on more than one occasion.
It's come up many, many times in past meetings as well with, you know, beautification efforts. Courier Street is a really important example. And then at the beginning of the new Columbus Road bike spur as well. It's been discussed many times. And I know there was one there where you play ultimate frisbee years ago that was destroyed and never replaced. There's a couple benches there as well that look over the Hawking, and that was never replaced. And people have mentioned that to me as well, as, you know, you're walking along, you see trash, you don't want to carry it forever, or you want to get rid of your dog waste or whatever.
So you're talking waste receptacles, or are you talking these stations where you can get the biodegradable bag for your animal
It could be one and the same.
Yeah,
It could be one and the same.
Yeah, I've heard both suggestions, and they might be helpful. Obviously, one would cost less, or there'd be with the waste gloves or the the little garbage bags.
We can review that. I
Thank you.
don't think council's aware of how many trash cans the Parks and Rec Division of Arts Parks and Rec empties now. And so we've just kind of got to weigh that with the,
We can
the
certainly
service
explore
worker.
it. There is a lot that they're currently having to attend to. and clear out. And now we've got recycling and trash collection in the city parks.
Right.
But we can certainly take a look at what could be done.
Thank
I'm
you.
aware of the Courier Street trash that accumulates down there.
Thank you. The next and last item on the agenda that I'm aware of is similar, something needing of disposal or our efforts to move forward, and that would be the old educational smoke trailer. So if council recalls, we supported the purchase of a newer educational smoke trailer for the fire department. So consequently, we have an older one that is now needing to move on. Does that sound correct?
That's correct, and we hope to use the same, well, we will want to use the same language for disposal. So again, it could be, it can go out to bid, auction, scrap, donated, or offered to a nonprofit.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? That concludes City Service and Safety, unless the Mayor's Office has anything else. Our last committee meeting this evening is Transportation Committee, which is chaired by Councilmember Pappy.
Thank you. ODOT is wanting to do some sign replacement on 3350 State Route 682. And basically, ODOT is asking us, they need the preliminary legislation since it's within the city limits. And I just need to ask a question of administration. Oh boy, I don't know how many, I think Mayor Patterson, you were still on council when we appropriated the money. Whatever happened with the 682 sign for, it was gonna say City of Athens. I think it was gonna be on the actual overpass on 5033. I'm assuming this is not it that we're discussing here. This is just replacement of the signs that are already there, or maybe adding new signs. I don't know. It says replacement in this this request from ODOT, but that got me thinking, whatever happened, we appropriated all that money, whatever happened to that situation?
That situation
Yes.
is still ongoing. We had contacted Ohio University to see if Ohio University, since we have the opportunity to put City of Athens up there, to also have City of Athens home to Ohio University on that sign. We're still exploring that.
On the bridge.
On the bridge, on the 682 bridge, as you're coming in, well, on that bridge, on both sides. So we're still looking at that. No, this is for replacing the overhead signs, the ones that are over the highway. Under, I guess, ODOT's philosophy moving forward is to not have these uplighting or downlighting signs anymore. They're getting away from that, and instead what they're moving into is high-grade retroreflective surfaces. That's becoming now the ODOT standard. These are highly visible when headlights hit them. Plus, the contrast is high during the daytime as well. So this is on ODOT. They're just doing their due diligence. Anytime they want to replace these in a municipality, they have to contact and get approval from the city to put these signs up. And there's going to be several, as you've seen, sign replacement on US 33, US 50, and State Route 682 is where we're going.
Now, will this need to be suspended as usual with ODOT, or can we just do the 3 readings?
No, I don't think
far
this
as
needs
you
to be
know.
suspended.
Okay. Just checking
Better be safe, sorry.
to hurry up. And then I see our second, any questions from council members? Sorry. Member Costas.
And I understand, so these are just the ODOT roads that are running into the city. I just wanted to mention this because this is kind of on the same topic. When I was coming in from Strauss Run on Sunday, the sign was missing where it says City of Athens, that's city limits. I don't know. Once again, I don't know where that one went either.
It could have been taken down during their construction, but we'll check on that. Is that what you mean?
It's just, you go over the overpass, and as you're going up the bump, to get into town, the city limit sign there
Oh,
is no longer
so
there.
that wouldn't have been construction
not,
related.
no.
We'll look into that.
Okay.
If I may, I want to go back around to the City of Athens sign, since we talked about it briefly, for there to be an inclusion of and Ohio University or home to Athens, Ohio University, whatever it is, that is would be OU's responsibility to pay for that, to have that. The City of Athens would not be paying for that.
And would they have to get approval through the trustees or the state at some level or whatever? So I don't know if other, this was quite a while ago. I mean,
It was.
you were on council, so I mean, what's the holdup? I mean, what?
Well, the holdup is waiting to find out if Ohio University wants to put something up there, rather than us put ours up and it's centered on that overpass,
Okay,
and it's
got it.
like, oops, we would like to have done it.
But
And
you
there's interest on OU's side that they would like to put something up,
Okay.
so we'll go back to.
But on the other hand, we can't wait forever.
Yeah, I mean,
True.
this money is sitting, I
True.
assume it's still somewhere, in a line somewhere. It was quite a bit of money.
I believe it was $30,000.
Yeah. Second item, EPW vehicle disposal. Maybe this was mentioned a while ago, but I'm kind of blank on which vehicle we're disposing of.
Well, I apologize, we do not have the information from the city engineer for this evening that
Okay.
would include the mileage, and the APD did ask its staff this morning to include one of their old cruisers, 922. That's, doesn't mean anything to you, I know, but all of the APD is 900, numbers, and that they've exceeded their life. So basically requesting council to consider it as long as we can provide you that information this week with the pictures and the mileage. And
The bin numbers, but, I do know that one of them is an old vacuum suck truck that we had that needs, it's done. And then, as Service Safety Director mentioned, one of the cruisers, which it too, because we talked about, should we just, as we've done in the past, shuffle it around, donate it somewhere, and in talking with Captain Harvey, he looked at us this morning at staff and said, no. So, it's a vehicle that's lived a long, happy life.
Transportation Committee, are you comfortable with moving forward without the info?
I am, provided we just receive it.
Get it next
you
week?
would receive it this week.
You'll get
This
it this
In
week.
advance of
Yeah.
any reading of an ordinance.
All right.
That'd be great.
Thank you.
Any other council members' comments? No? All right. Thank you.
Does that conclude Transportation Committee?
It does, thank you.
Thank you. We are concluded at approximately 8:13 p.m. Have a nice night, everyone. Take care.